How to understand people and protect yourself from manipulation. Introduction. The Game of Power. There is a famous story about Charles Maurice de Talleyrand, a French diplomat who lived during one of the most difficult periods in French history. He survived the French Revolution, the rule of Napoleon, his fall, and the return of the monarchy. When people asked him how he managed to survive so many dangerous changes, he gave a simple answer: "I never forgot that the game was always being played." Robert Greene uses this idea in his book, The 48 Laws of Power. The game means the way people interact with each other. It exists in politics, business, friendships, and everyday life. Many people believe they do not care about power. They think they are outside this game. But every time we communicate with another person, we are part of this game. The question is not whether we play. The question is whether we understand the rules. Robert Greene studied thousands of years of history and looked at how powerful people acted. He studied kings, politicians, military leaders, businessmen, and famous thinkers. From this research, he created 48 laws that explain how power works. These laws are not about being good or bad. They describe how people often behave when something important is at risk. In this summary, we will look at the most important ideas from the book. Law 1. Never outshine the master. One of the biggest rules of power is this: do not make powerful people feel smaller than you. A good example is Nicolas Fouquet, the finance minister of King Louis XIV of France. Fouquet wanted to impress the king, so he organized the biggest and most luxurious party France had ever seen. Everyone was amazed, but Louis XIV was not happy. Instead of feeling proud of his minister, the king felt that Fouquet was trying to show that he was richer and more impressive than the king himself. Soon after the party, Fouquet was arrested and spent the rest of his life in prison. His mistake was simple: he made his superior feel weak. Another example is Galileo. When Galileo discovered the moons of Jupiter, he did not only present his discovery. He connected it to the Medici family, one of the most powerful families in Italy. He made them feel important. Because of this, they supported him and protected him. The lesson is, people like to feel important. Your skills and success can sometimes make others feel insecure. A smart person knows when to shine and when to let others receive attention. The power of silence. Another important idea is the power of silence. Many people talk too much. They explain every decision, defend every opinion, and show all their plans. This can make them look weak. Sometimes silence creates more respect. Louis XIV understood this very well. When people asked for his opinion, he often answered only, "I shall see." Nobody knew exactly what he was thinking, so everyone tried harder to gain his approval. Silence can create mystery and control. Hide your real intentions. If people know exactly what you want, they can prepare against you. Powerful people often keep their real plans private. Otto von Bismarck was a master of this. Publicly, he spoke about peace with Austria, but secretly, he wanted a war that would help unite Germany. Because people believed his public words, he gained the position and influence he needed. The lesson is not simply to lie. The lesson is, do not show every move you plan to make. Sometimes keeping information private protects your goals. Law 2. Protect your reputation. Your reputation is one of your greatest forms of power. Before people know you personally, they already have an opinion about you. A strong reputation can open doors. A damaged reputation can close them. Chinese strategist Zhuge Liang understood this. He became famous for his intelligence and clever strategies. Once, he had only a few soldiers while a huge enemy army approached. Instead of escaping, he opened the city gates, sat on the wall, and calmly played music. The enemy general thought, Chuko Liang is famous for tricks. This must be a trap. The huge army retreated. Liang won without fighting because his reputation was powerful. But reputation is fragile. One careless action can damage years of work. You must carefully choose how people see you, the power of mystery. People are naturally interested in things they do not fully understand. When someone shares everything about themselves, they become predictable. But a little mystery creates curiosity. Matahari became famous not only because of her dancing, but because of the mystery around her. People were fascinated because they did not know the real story about her. Today, when many people share every detail of their lives online, privacy can become a source of power. You do not need to show everything. Sometimes what people do not know makes them more interested. Law 3. Become valuable and necessary. In life, people often help each other because they need something. The important question is, are you easy to replace or are you truly valuable? Thomas Edison became one of history's most famous inventors. However, many people who worked for him contributed greatly to his success. Edison understood that ideas alone are not enough. Recognition and influence are also important. Nikola Tesla was a brilliant inventor, but he focused mostly on his ideas and less on business and recognition. Other people gained more fame and money from technologies connected to his work. The lesson: talent is important, but knowing how to use your talent is equally important. The most successful people make themselves difficult to replace. Being useful is good. Being necessary is much stronger. Control your emotions. Strong emotions can make people lose power. Anger especially can damage your judgment. A calm person often has an advantage over an emotional person. Napoleon was a brilliant leader, but sometimes he lost control of his emotions. When his enemies challenged him, he could become angry and react emotionally. This made him appear weaker. A person who stays calm can think more clearly and make better decisions. Law 4. Finish conflicts completely. When people defeat an opponent but leave them with power, problems often return. History shows many examples of leaders who were too merciful and later suffered because of it. Chinese leader Liu Pang defeated his rival Xiang Yu. Earlier, Xiang Yu had chances to destroy Liu Pang but refused because they had once been friends. Later, Liu Pang showed no mercy. He defeated Xiang Yu completely and created a powerful dynasty. The lesson is, half solutions often create new problems. However, winning does not always mean destroying another person. Sometimes the best victory is making your opponent lose influence and support. Law 5. Power is also a performance. People judge others before they know them. Your appearance, confidence, body language, and communication all send messages. Christopher Columbus was not born into wealth or power, but he acted with confidence, and important people treated him seriously. Confidence can influence how others see you. On the other hand, pretending to be something you are not can look ridiculous. King Louis Philippe of France tried to appear like an ordinary person. He walked around with simple clothes to seem closer to ordinary citizens. At first, people liked it. Later, they saw it as fake. The lesson: your image matters, but it must feel natural and authentic. The power of effortlessness. People admire results, not struggle. When magician Harry Houdini performed impossible escapes, audiences saw only the final success. They did not see thousands of hours of practice. Great performers hide the difficulty behind the result. The same idea applies to life. Work hard privately. Show confidence publicly. Law 6. Be flexible like water. The final important lesson is flexibility. Strong people are not always those who never change. Often the strongest people are those who can adapt. The Spartans were famous for discipline and military strength, but their strict system made them unable to change. Other societies that adapted faster eventually became stronger. Water is a perfect example. Water has no fixed shape. It moves around obstacles, but over time, it can change even solid rock. Powerful people think the same way. They adjust when situations change. They do not waste energy fighting every obstacle. They find another path. Conclusion. The game continues. The ideas from the 48 Laws of Power are still relevant today. They appear in workplaces, friendships, business, and everyday communication. Every conversation and every relationship has some element of influence and power. You can ignore these rules, but other people may still use them. Robert Greene wrote this book not to say that power is good or bad. He wanted people to understand how the world often works. Knowledge gives protection. When you understand human behavior, you can make better choices. You can become more effective. You can protect yourself from manipulation. And you can decide how you want to use influence in your own life. The game of power exists everywhere. The important question is, will you understand the game or will the game control you?